So Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni has been under fire after some wild antics following the Birds' ugly win over the Browns, but a new development suggests that Sirianni's actions are being completely taken out of context, while the players have all come to their head coach's defense as well. Yet Nick Sirianni just apologized for his actions, so what's the truth behind this whole situation? Meanwhile, the Eagles just provided some massive injury updates on a few key players, and it seems that one of their biggest stars could miss some significant time. But even so, there is still plenty of reason to be optimistic moving forward, so we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, I'm already feeling a lot more positive than I was immediately after this past game. I mean, sure, it wasn't pretty. Obviously, the Eagles got to be better and there were plenty of negatives, but you know what? We at least got to be grateful that the Eagles won this game. I mean, a win is a win in the NFL, and even with all the still very real concerns, the Eagles are currently sitting at 3-2. They would be 4-1 if Saquon had caught that pass at the end of the Falcons game, and they are still very much alive in the race for the NFC East, as they are just a half game back of the Commanders' first place. They're also ahead of the Cowboys, who just got absolutely destroyed by the Lions in a game where Dak Prescott threw 2 picks, and the Birds have a very favorable schedule ahead of them, with of course the 2-4 Giants coming up next week and what will be Saquon's return to MetLife. And they're opening that game as favorites, so the sky is definitely not falling in Philadelphia, as they still got plenty of time left in the season and a very real chance to bare minimum have a home playoff game. Now, am I satisfied with how they played on Sunday? No, not at all. I mean, there's no question in my mind that the Eagles just have to be better than that, and I think my video recapping the game reflects those feelings, but all I'm saying is it certainly feels a lot better to get a win than a loss, and the Eagles won on Sunday, and they have a chance to build off of it. And for Jalen Hurts specifically, hopefully he's able to build off what I think was a really good performance against the Browns. I mean, in my mind, that was easily the best he's played all year, and obviously I'm sure a big reason for that was just getting his guys back in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but Hurts still definitely deserves a ton of credit for this one, and head coach Nick Sirianni gave it to him in his press conference on Monday.
And I thought Jalen really did a nice job of handling the way the game was called and the plays that were the way we're coming in, and went to the right place with the football. I thought Jalen, I'm just kind of adding to this. Jalen did a really nice job of starting off. We really wanted to start fast, but we didn't. That was the emphasis. But man, how impressive was Jalen in the sense that you can start off 0-5 and then 0 for 5 and then complete 16 of your next 20 balls like that. That's true definition of dog mentality.
I definitely got to commend Jalen for bouncing back after the rough 0-for-5 start, as he stayed cool, calm, and collected, and he ended up being 16 for his next 20 throws, delivering on some nice deep balls or off-script plays at times, while also having some nice plays running the ball, and he ended up throwing for 264 yards and a 126.1 rating, which were both the highest marks that the Browns defense has allowed all year to an opposing quarterback. And most importantly, Hurts took great care of the football, as not only did he not have a turnover in this game after 9 straight games with one, but he also didn't even put the ball in harm's way one single time, and he made some great decisions at times to just throw the ball away rather than maybe try and force something like we've seen him do in the past. So overall, I think this game was definitely a huge bounce back and a great step in the right direction for Jalen Hurts, and hopefully he continues to build off it and get better as the season moves on. And I feel like I can say something very similar for edge rusher Bryce Huff, who after 4 horrible games to start his Eagles tenure was much better in this past game, as the Eagles' adjustment to deploy him using more 4-point stances allowed him to start having some success after he was being used entirely differently during the first 4 weeks. I mean, the 4-point stance really plays to Huff's strengths, and it's what allowed him to get 10 sacks last year with the Jets, so I am super glad that the Eagles figured out that they were using him wrong and made the adjustment to get that fixed. Because I mean, if you watch the tape from Sunday's game against the Browns and compare it to his 4 other games, Huff just looks like a completely different player, and he clearly made an impact in this past game after being invisible in those first 4, so I'm certainly glad to say that I have hope in Agent Zero once again, and hopefully he can build off this performance and continue to make an impact moving forward. And I mean, just overall defensively, the Eagles were much better in this game, especially at getting pressure, as after having just 6 sacks through 4 games, the Birds piled up 5 sacks in this one, and everyone was kind of able to get in on the action. I mean, the Georgia Bulldogs were all great, and just the entire defensive line really was much better as a whole. Now yes, I'm sure part of that has to do with facing the Browns, who have not done a good job of protecting their quarterback all year long, but I'm not going to chalk it up to just that, as in the Eagles' previous game against the Bucs, they were facing an opponent that had also struggled to protect the quarterback, but the Bucs shredded them with the quick passing game, and the defensive line was really a non-factor. But in this game, it was clear that the Eagles were doing something different, and on Monday, Nick Sirianni talked about the newfound defensive success and explained what made the difference in this one.
That's kind of how games go sometimes. There's opportunities in certain games. I thought our guys rushed well when they had to rush individually. I thought our guys rushed in tandem as a group well together when they were rushing with games. I thought Vic dialed up some really nice blitzes in certain situations, they got guys free. So I think it was a little bit of combination of all three. And then there were some times where the secondary had really good coverage. I think every time I looked at it, the secondary was tight, and they were sticky in coverage. So it's good. It was really good team defense.
I definitely agree with Sirianni that they played much better team defense in this one. Obviously, the pass rush was much better, like I said, and they rushed better as a unit, but also, like Sirianni said, the corners being tighter obviously was a big part of it, and also a reason that the Browns weren't able to shred them with the quick passing game like the Bucs did. And defensive coordinator Vic Fangio also did do a good job of dialing up some nice blitzes to create some pressure. And I mean, overall, Fangio was just much more aggressive in this game than usual. Obviously, the corners were tighter, which was a big part of it, but the rate at which the Eagles blitzed was also much higher than typical so far this year, as they blitzed on 45% of the snaps on Sunday, as opposed to their 30% mark on the season so far. And again, that clearly paid off. So let's hope Fangio continues to be aggressive on defense. I think their approach on Sunday was much better than it had been the previous 4 weeks. So again, let's hope he continues to be more aggressive, and the defense is able to see a lot of success because of it. And some more good news defensively is that despite going down with an injury on Sunday, it doesn't seem like they'll be without one of their key members of the secondary for very long, as of course cornerback Darius Slay exited the Browns matchup with a knee injury and didn't return, but the Birds got a positive update on him on Monday, with Ian Rappaport tweeting a quote, "Eagles cornerback Darius Slay, who left Sunday's game with a knee injury, is considered day-to-day," source said. Good news. So again, obviously that's great news there, that Slay's not going to miss much time, and he'll be back out there soon, and hopefully he doesn't even end up missing this next game against the Giants. Now, do I think the Eagles could survive without him for at least this game? Yeah, I do, because I'm confident in both Isaiah Rodgers and Kelee Ringo, but despite all the hate that he gets, I just refuse to buy into the notion that Slay can't play anymore. I still think he's a good cover corner, and I think having him out there is a positive for the defense. And yes, I know I'll probably get hate for saying that, but I just don't think Slay is as bad as a lot of people are saying that he is, and I'm happy he's not going to be out for very long. Unfortunately, though, the Eagles did get a much worse injury update on one of their best offensive linemen. So we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of the season, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes on this video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So, in addition to Slay, someone else who exited Sunday's game with an injury was left tackle Jordan Mailata, and I think immediately it was apparent that this injury was fairly serious, as he had to use the cart to get into the locker room, and after the game, he was seen limping around on crutches, so that definitely was not a great sign. And on Monday, Nick Sirianni provided an update on Mailata, and it wasn't exactly the greatest news in the world.
It looks like, again, you're right, I don't give that information a lot. It looks like Jordan's going to be out a couple weeks. We'll see exactly how long it's going to be. I don't have that information yet, exactly all that, but Jordan's busting his butt trying to get, make a play, and unfortunately that happened. And so everything's on the table though, Ed. Everything's on the table. We got some good ability to do different things because of the roster that Howie and his staff have built, and the flexibility that Coach Stoutland coaches the guys up with to be able to be multiple at different positions. So flexibility is there. We're early on in the process, and we'll figure that out as the week goes.
Yeah, so you heard him there. Mailata is expected to miss a few weeks with this hamstring injury, and that really sucks because he's obviously an incredible player. He's one of the best tackles in the league, and he's one of the reasons the Eagles' offensive line has been so good, plus he's also a great leader, so the Birds will surely miss his presence out there for the next few weeks while he recovers from this injury, and now it's going to be more than likely on Fred Johnson to step up without him. Now, he was able to do that at right tackle in Week 3 against the Saints very well, and I think he also did a really good job at the end of this game when Mailata went down, so hopefully he's able to continue stepping up and hold it down with Mailata seemingly out for a while. But now, moving on, I do want to take a look back at what everyone seems to be talking about after the Eagles win over the Browns, and that is head coach Nick Sirianni and his antics after the game. As of course, Sirianni was seen seemingly yelling at and going back and forth with the Eagles fans after the narrow victory against the Browns, which has of course got an overwhelming negative reaction from the fan base and just the NFL world in general. Now, me personally, I said that I just didn't like it or think that it was a very good look, just considering the circumstances that Sirianni is currently in and how the fan base currently feels about him, on top of the fact that they just barely beat the Browns of all football teams, and he's still acting like that. Like, that just didn't really sit right with me. But a new development that came out later on Monday could change things a little bit, as Eagles Nation on Twitter brought to light a post from somebody on Reddit who claims to be the person that Sirianni was jawing at during the game, and he said that Nick's actions were actually pretty awesome. As the post reads, quote, "I began to yell, if your star running back gets 5 yards on first down, you give it to him again. Run the ball, run the ball." Nick turned around, gestured for me to calm down, and said something to the effect of, "We will, don't worry, I'm on it." Fast forward to the end of the game, Nick came over to this area and began saying, "I told you we would run, I told you." Admittedly, this is paraphrasing because I had indulged quite a bit at this point. The point being that it was not unwarranted, nor did I see it as aggressive. Rather, I saw it as him making a point to let me know that he followed through. Now, whether this is actually true or not, we have no real way of knowing, but it did get a lot of attention, and it does sound like a very specific story for someone to just make up. But whether this is true or not, Sirianni did end up apologizing for his actions after the game when he talked to the media on Monday.
I would say this about that. What I was really doing, I was trying to bring energy yesterday, energy, enthusiasm yesterday. And I'm sorry and disappointed on how my energy was directed at the end of the game. And, my energy should be all in on coaching, motivating, right, and celebrating with our guys. And so, that's, and I got to have better wisdom and discernment of when to use that energy, and that wasn't the time.
If I'm being honest, I'm not quite fully sure how I feel about this whole situation currently. I think honestly it really depends on whether what was said in that Reddit post is true or not, but I can at least commend Sirianni for apologizing and owning up to his mistakes regardless of what he actually did say. And I think in regards to Nick Sirianni and just the current situation that he's in, obviously he's on the hot seat right now. The Eagles team simply just has not played well enough and been coached well enough since probably 2022 when they went to the Super Bowl, and everyone's already unhappy with him anyways, so I just think something like this naturally only added fuel to the fire and made the criticism louder. However, I do think it's important to note what the players have actually said about Sirianni since this whole thing happened, as they all kind of came to his defense, with Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts even saying that they told Sirianni that they wanted him to bring more energy and get back to being how he was in 2022.
You know what? I just told him to be him. I need him to be 2022 Nick, so we can get there. Because, we just want people to be themselves. At the end of the day, Coach been taking a bunch of heat, and I understand he got a lot of stuff on him. We got his back because, Philly can be hard. I know all about it. But, how I do it every day, I always said that they going to eat the words that they say. And so I know that's what Nick probably saying too. And every chance that he get, you let him know, just like I would too.
I don't know what exactly happened. I've kind of been, put on notice on some of it. I didn't see anything, but I encourage him to be himself, and so that's who he is. I don't know who else said it. I know I spoke to him, and it's just a reassurance of we trust who you are, we trust where you are as a coach, and we know we can build with you.
Say what you will about the guy, but I think it's hard to question that Sirianni does have the support of his players. He seems to be very well liked by the team, so that's obviously great, and I honestly also wouldn't mind seeing him get back to his 2022 self with all the antics and celebrations and all that stuff. I mean, I absolutely loved when he was doing that. You can go back on my channel and watch videos from that time period. I was praising Sirianni for all the energy he was bringing in and just everything he was doing on the sidelines. I thought it was great. I thought it fit Philly really well just with the passion he clearly had and just all the energy he was bringing. But context matters, right? In 2022, the Eagles were blowing teams out and playing up to their full potential. I mean, even last year when he was doing this stuff, they had started the season 10-1. But now at this current moment, the fact of the matter is that Nick came into the season on the hot seat after a historic collapse last year, and the Birds still are not playing up to their potential 5 games in, and he's a big reason for that. So the circumstances and context are different now than they were back then, and I just think Sirianni has to be aware of that and act accordingly. I'm honestly rooting for Nick Sirianni. I think he's a good guy. I like the antics when things are going well, and again, his players seem to really like him and they consistently have his back. But at the end of the day, he just has to get this team playing at a higher level, and he cannot be the liability he has been for the offense. He's just got to let his coordinators do their job and lean more into just leading this team and making sure that they're ready each and every week. And if they do that, then I think the Eagles will be much better off, and so will Nick. But all that being said, what do you guys think about Nick Sirianni, and what are your feelings on this whole situation? You can let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, again, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other Eagles videos just like this when they're uploaded. And also, again, make sure you drop a like to show some support if you did enjoy this video. It really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 700 likes on this video. And if you want to watch a video recapping the Eagles' win over the Browns, you can check this out right here. And now, all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.